Hello and welcome. Final video for the night as we are now into the second day of July 2018. And this is mainly regarding channel direction, as what I'm not motivated for doing is trying to increase viewers. Using any type of marketing or strategic maneuvers in one sort or another. Rather, just let the views come in organically. And maybe that's the reason why they are as low as they are, or at least one of such. But as far as YouTube is concerned, it's a monopoly. And unfortunately for that case, I not only have to put my full content on here that I would like to do, but even just doing them there, period. What I would like to do is hopefully in the future a new type of website could appear. And this really stems from my idea that I had probably about 5-6 years ago, maybe even 7 or 8. And the idea then on YouTube was, back then I was getting like 1,800 views consistently at times. And I'm figuring, if I just got like 2 to 3 cents per view, per click, that would work out to be about that's $50 or so. And then I start thinking, man, you got these channels that have 1 million views, and if they had even just a penny, that would be $10,000 per 1 million views. And if you're a watcher of these videos, how many videos do you really watch in a day, week, and a month? So to pay a penny here and 10 cents here and 2 cents there, well, that could very easily be done. And I think one of the things I was thinking is that would maybe cause a lot of content creators to come in, and that's been the case, I think, as well. Maybe it's harder to get views when there's more competition, and I'm not trying to get such. I just enjoy doing such a thing. What would be cool, and I've heard about stuff like Patreon. I think that's if you do work, people, I don't know how that works. It seems like that's a way of, for content creators of some sort, to have like a fund me type of page. And if that's the case, I really don't want to deal anything in fiat currency. At least I would prefer not to. So I really am not going to check much into it. But a website like a video site where you would pay in a per Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency basis. My theory there is if I were to put like the lowest of prices, like anywhere between 15 to 20 cents for a small, basic, just a decent, normal package, something of non-premium value, and premium value for pretty much, depending on the situation, well, I would think it would work out pretty well, because I think there'd be a lot of people who would be able to do such in a creative way. I think that would be a good idea. If something like that were to exist, that's what I'll be looking for in the near future. And with cryptos, in the case of how it is, and there's so many more use cases, and it's being powered by so many different sources, the cryptocurrencies, that is, as the power source, it would be a pretty cool thing. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be looking for. And if I were to do something like that, that would mean if I could still post YouTube, I'd probably go back to doing stuff like the 4-minute morning, and that's what I would just consistently do. Put about 3 to 4 minutes of content, and then everything else would be on, of course, the premium channel. So that'd be basically an advertising method source. But when I put out really good content and a lot of good ideas that I have, that would motivate me more to do a lot more of it. So that's just a possible idea on how it's going. Like for YouTube itself, I felt the whole monopoly-based thing for probably 3-4 years anyway. It's the only place in which that's the only place I can really make these kinds of videos and really put them out there, because if I were to go to the other ones that I know of, like the Daily Motion, I think, and there's might be Vimeo or Vimeo, I don't even know how it's pronounced. That's how popular it is. I'd get a lot less viewerships on those particular sites as you get to the stage when the major monopoly owner owns around 99% of the industry, and they pretty much run the monopoly. And you know what? Maybe even YouTube might even transition into cryptocurrencies where that's something that I could be able to do that way. So there's all those possibilities. So basically the whole sum this thing up. Really the only thing motivating me from doing the videos is just that. Really, really nothing else. Other than the fact that I like to do them. And yeah, so anyway, just wanted to pass that along. That if any time in the future I see that happening, then I'll obviously do such. But something I'll be looking into as we finish off the year 2018 and really the end of this decade, which is what, the tens? I remember growing up, we used to refer to the 80s as the 80s, and looking back, you got the 70s, and that's when you had all the end of the great old school rock days, as then the 60s and 50s and all that stuff. We never heard the zeros. I didn't know what I was wondering back in 1980. I remember talking with people back in 1998, 90s, well, basically in the 90s, yeah. What are we going to call the next decade? I mean, we've said 90s, 80s, and 70s. Is this going to be what, the zeros? And I haven't heard much since. I mean, no one's referred to the decade in a type of noun base from 2000 to 2009. As far as the tens are concerned, I haven't really heard anything of us referring to, hey, we're in the tens. But I think as we enter the 20s, it's going to be back to that day of the form of us humans using that noun, 20s, and then 30s, and so on and so forth. But what I want to find, what I'll be interested in hearing, or not, I won't know this probably, maybe not, depending on how long it takes and how old I get, is when the future comes into place. As we enter the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, oh, the 60s are a long way away. How will they look back at it? In two levels. They look back at the 40s and 30s. Well, now we have the 1930s and the 2030s. So you'd kind of have two different meanings when you look back. Same thing with the 20s. But if you do look back at that way, and they refer to the 30s as the 1930s and the 1950s and so on. That's how they refer to the old school in the 1980s. And then the 20s and the 30s and the 40s for the 2000 series. But what will they say for the decade between 2000 and 2009? That would be something I'd be interested to see if I can, again, that's just whatever kind of thinking that I sometimes do. Take care and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.